claimed openly that the law and the Jews had failed to kill Jesus or murder him or condemn him to death to its end, then whenever a claimant would appear and he was dragged to the Roman court that I have seen Jesus Christ myself alive, it would be he who would be condemned to severe punishment or even death, because he would be considered an accessory after the crime, after the fact. Why did he not capture him? Why did he not report the matter to the law? So it was a very serious crime to make such a claim. On the other hand, if they admitted that Jesus had died upon cross, then the biblical sword would hang over their heads, informing them that this man whom you revere so much is proved to be a false person, according to the criterion presented by the Bible itself. So he was an impostor, no more. This was a dilemma faced by the Christians. And those who witnessed his survival had only one option: to call it a revival instead of survival. So if you change the terminology just a little bit, instead of calling it a case of survival, if you presented it as a case of revival, then law could not touch you. Because once death was delivered, then the person is free to walk away. So this is why in the beginning this was the stance taken by his close followers and lovers, and that is why they saved their face against the Jews as well. They said, you say if an impostor hangs by the tree, he would die, and his death would prove him to be an impostor. And you say this happened in the case of Jesus Christ. But you don't realize that he revived from the dead, which means that he was not an ordinary prophet, he was more than a prophet. So the case of a prophet was not applicable. You are judging him from the formula which is applicable only to the prophets. But if somebody revives from the dead, most certainly he stands beyond the ordinary status of prophets. Now, the word so often used in the New Testament, which was an expression of endearment only, according to me and us, that is Son of God. That helped them. They said, look here, he had to be a little Son of God. No ordinary mortal can revive, come to life again from the dead. So you are trying to pull his leg down below the human level. But what you prove is simply this, that he was not human all right, but beyond humans. Not a prophet, but beyond a prophet, above a prophet. And by the same juggling of the words, they proved his birth to be an additional factor to as an argument in their favor. They said, now you turn to the question of birth, and now you understand it better. He did not have a known father married to Mary because he was not son of a mortal. So he must have been begotten by the conjugation or sort of something between God and Mary. So both these points emerge as the most important and pivotal points. Correct understanding of them is what would lead you to the correct understanding of Jesus Christ, and in no other way you can understand the fact of Jesus. So both Jews and Christians faltered on these 2 points. The Jews wanted to prove the point by saying he got killed on cross, so he must have been false. He was delivered by a mother without a husband, so he must have a false beginning. In answer to both these, the Holy Quran relates the words of Jesus to us, that is, what he expressed to God by way of gratitude to him, that he had blessed him in this way. And the words run, Salamun alayya, yawma wulidtu, wa yawma amutu, wa yawma ubatu hayya. They say, my birth was cursed, my death was cursed, and so I will not be raised. Peace be on me, because my birth was blessed, my death will be blessed, and it will not be through murder or killing. Amut is not an expression used for those who are murdered or killed. The word maut here applies simply to a natural death. So it was not only a prayer or an expression of gratitude, but it was also a prophecy by Jesus, that my birth was clear. There is no doubt about it. But how shall you know? You can only know if the same prophecy which I am making, or the same expression of gratitude I am making, is proved in the latter part, in the event of death. If I escape murder, then my first claim will also be taken as true and valid. If there I am proved wrong, then I could be taken to be wrong in both these places. So that is why the Holy Quran says he did not die upon cross. They failed to murder him. What was certain was only this fact, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ يَقِينًا. They certainly failed to murder him. Crucifixion was just an attempt. Like murder attempts, when they fail, you can never say somebody is murdered. An attempt of murder is something else, and if crucifixion is only to the degree of an attempted murder, then it should not mean that he was crucified to the end of death. So this is how the Holy Quran resolves the issue. And a new personality of Jesus appears by the study of the Holy Quran, which is in the middle path, which leaves no room for any extreme attitude as taken by either Jews or by the Christians of today. And here lies the greatness of Jesus, the true greatness. We find him to be a very special prophet, no doubt, a prophet who stood till the end by truth and did not care what happened to him, who suffered the agonies of crucifixion, yet did not change his view and his belief and his claims. And yet he knew that he would be saved from the cross because he was a true man. He knew it because he had prayed to God to take away the bitter cup from him. And God must have promised him. Otherwise, this last cry, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani, was out of place. Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani means that he was sure that God would fulfill his promise of saving him from this ignoble death. And this is an utter cry of not despondency, but of a sort of prayer which is so rich in meaning that it is impossible for such a prayer to be rejected. So the last to hear from Jesus is, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani. And it's impossible for God to have unheard this cry of anguish from a dear prophet who suffered till the end and stood firm in his loyalty to God. So he was saved. He was saved, and the first proof of his having been saved lies in the fact that when he was taken down from cross, his body was, an ointment was hurriedly prepared and applied to his body. While most certainly it was not the custom of the Jewish people to anoint the bodies or to apply any ointment